I, 22 got a girlfriend and my gay best friend, 22 male, stopped talking to me. I'm a bisexual guy and my friend, Steve, name changed, whom I've known for 10+ years is gay. We come from conservative families, so we didn't even know the concept of queerness when we were young. Steve and I were inseparable throughout our teenage years and people joked that we were like brothers. We managed to get into the same college and moved to a big city when we're 17 years old. This exposed us to a completely different world and Steve realized that he was gay. I realized that I too was attracted to men. Not knowing anything about the queer stuff, I thought I was gay too. Steve and I found other queer people and our new friend circle was made of gay people. We couldn't tell our families that we were queer, so Steve and I could only depend on each other. We started dating men, but our initial relationships weren't very serious. After my first gay relationship ended, I realized that I was attracted to both men and women. I was bisexual. I told this to my group of queer friends, who said that I was going through a phase, that years of brainwashing was the reason I was attracted to women, that I would get over it, and they told me that I was gay. Steve refused to accept that I was bisexual and told me that bisexuality wasn't real. I tried to convince him but he refused to accept that I wasn't gay. We were roommates and this started causing a lot of tension between us. I decided to let it go and stop trying to convince him. Things went back to normal and I had 2 more gay relationships. Steve got into a serious relationship with a senior. Our families didn't know anything about this. Then I met my current girlfriend Mary, name changed, at a bar. Mary and I hit off immediately. We exchanged numbers and kept talking for a week before I invited her to our flat. I introduced her to Steve, and Mary and I went into my room. When she was leaving, I noticed that Steve was glaring at her. I didn't think much about this. Mary and I started meeting more often and Steve refused to talk to her. I decided to ask him about it and he told me that Mary was not good for me and asked me why I was being so close to a woman. I asked him what he meant by that and he just stormed off. Steve started fighting me about trivial things that didn't matter before. Mary and I made our relationship official a few weeks later and I posted about on my story. When I got back to our flat, Steve and few friends were waiting for me. Steve started shouting at me, asking how I could betray him. He told me that I turned my back on him and he called Mary a witch. I reminded him that I was bisexual and assured him that I wasn't leaving him. Our friends took Steve's side and asked me why I started dating a woman. They agreed with Steve that Mary bewitched me. I left our flat and when I came back later, Steve refused to talk to me, and told me that he wouldn't talk to me as long as I was in a relationship with Mary. I hoped that this would blow over, but Steve refuses to talk to me a month later. I really like Mary and I don't want to end our relationship. But Steve needs my support and nobody back home knows anything about us being queer. We would most probably be disowned if they found out. How do I handle this situation? Too long did not read. I'm bisexual and my gay best friend stopped talking to me when I started dating a girl after only dating boys. He says that I betrayed him. I don't was to lose either of them. I don't know how to handle this. Edit. I don't want to leave him because he has nobody else to support him. When he comes out to his family, I'm sure that it'll be ugly and I want to there for him when that happens. I'm gay. Your friends are not good people. Yelling at you? Passive-aggressive tantrums? Sorry, no, find better friends. Tell them they are total bigots and you cannot believe how hateful they are being. Good luck, dude. Does your girlfriend accept your bisexuality? I think you know what the right choice is here, or at least, you know what the wrong one is. You deserve to be with who you want to be with outside of judgment. Steve and your other friends are trying to control you based on their own biphobic hang-ups and it literally should not be your problem. Also, a witch? Really? That's old-school misogyny. They've had time to change to show they care about you and they haven't. You're better off without them emo. Focus on your girl. Steve. And the rest of your fake-ass friends, for that matter, is toxic, controlling, misogynistic, biphobic, etc. Exactly what do you think you'll be missing out on if you drop them and get serious with your girlfriend? Steve has proven that he is just as narrow-minded as his family is to him and doesn't deserve your friendship. If anything, he should grow up and apologize. Damn. What is this? Dump on bi people, weak on Reddit. This is like the third post this afternoon about people being anti-bi. I won't call it phobic because I don't think they really fear us. Dude, you're bi. If your girlfriend is aware of it and cool with it, my wife is on both counts, then these other people should just shut up and let you do you. You should know that there is at least one, me. And probably a whole lot more people out there who are wishing you a good and happy relationship. Whether it's with a woman, a man, or a little blue furry creature from Alpha Centauri. Frith, brother. Well, it's nice to know biphobia is still alive and strong in the gay community. Trash is taking itself out. You're better off without them. Steve is a bigot. Do you really want to be friends with a bigot? The moment he said bisexuality wasn't real, he was a shitty friend. Is my marriage failing? Me and my husband have been married for about 4 months come September. This is my second marriage. In the beginning, like most relationships of course, it started out great and I ignored a few red flags in my opinion anyway. Such as still being in a relationship, found out on the way to the courthouse to get married. It was an online, long-distance relationship, but they have had physical contact and such before. He cut ties with her over text as we were parked. I've got nothing against doing something you love, but he does nothing but play video games half the time. No communication, short answers and hardly any attention span to not just me but more importantly his family and his job seem to not exist. I can count on a couple fingers how many words a day he says to me. He is so engrossed that no one or nothing seems to be more important. When I try communicating with him he just replies with, or, well, I see where you're coming from but it sounds factually incorrect. Or, whatever you wanna do. Not to mention that I have a full-time job. He does as well. And I cook every single day the minute I'm off work and clean the entire house. He does not hardly pick up after himself. I have to get onto him as a mother would to get him to do anything. I am trying to keep calm and maturely approach him here and there with this all, but he is like talking to a brick wall. There is no emotion or he'll act like a child. When I say that, he will talk in baby talk. It was cute at first, thought it was the typical like some people do in a relationship, but he doesn't hardly use his regular tone or anything with me. It kinda comes off a little disrespectful at times. It's getting to the point where I have said, I am your wife, not your mother. About 1,000 times by now. I've asked for other people's opinions and advice because I am afraid I may just be overthinking or being too sensitive and I don't want to screw anything up if it's actually me and I'm the one that needs to improve. I was raised to be the traditional housewife, but I am always weary to waste 20 years like my mother did. He reminds me so much of my father at times and that alone puts doubts in my mind. Which is frustrating because it seems like I was exciting for him for a couple weeks and now I'm old news. I cook, clean and take care of him like a mother and I am not sure if that's why he keeps me around or what, but I digress. We have military housing, and a few bills in our name. He wants to have kids but I've tried to tell him that we aren't ready for that and that we need to work on ourselves to be prepared and show that we can be capable and loving parents, and the time to start that is of course way before the kids come. But yet he acts like a child and would rather spend $3,000 on tattoos, a second monitor when we barely have furniture in our house. Not that I am coming down on him for buying things for himself, not at all. But when we are out of groceries and gas, a tattoo would be the last thing on my mind. The well-being of my family is more important. Like mentioned above, I would love to get all the insight I can. It's all very, very much appreciated. Thanks. This man ended an affair while in the parking lot right before your wedding? And you still married him? What is happening in this sub tonight? I'm sorry, but is this a real post? Because why the actual fuck would someone marry someone who ended an affair in the parking lot before the wedding? I ignored a few red flags, in my opinion anyway. Please. He was in a relationship with someone else on your wedding day and you married him anyway. I wonder why you're on marriage number 2 and questioning it 3 months in. Why are you guys together? He sounds immature and honestly don't have kids with him. Make sure you're using protection, at the very least birth control. Is this something you want for the rest of your life? You guys haven't been married long, you may be able to still get an annulment. I'm sorry but you need therapy. You didn't ignore a few red flags. You ignored a communist army parading with red flags. You really need to work on your self-esteem and self-respect and figure out why you keep tolerating having men like this in your life. Otherwise this pattern will keep on repeating itself. There are some huge issues here. But mainly it all boils down to what you believe you deserve and your self-worth. Think about this. You married someone that ended a relationship in the parking lot of the courthouse to get married and you thought you deserved to be treated like that. Dear, you need to raise your bar for yourself as well as your significant other. This guy sounds like a selfish teenager that doesn't understand what it takes to have a healthy relationship. Get an annulment if you can. Yeah, it is. Also, just because you were raised to be a housewife, doesn't mean you have to follow through with that. You can and should make the life you want to live on your terms, not your parents' terms. Yeah, dump this guy. It's not your job to raise another boy. I'll also say that you shouldn't worry about how it might look to be twice divorced. Your life is much more important than that. He has a problem over my weight. Me, 26F, and my boyfriend, 30M, had recently got into an argument. Although it has been a week since we spoke, I still feel very bothered by the conversation as it pertained to my weight. We both had planned a date night where we would dine in at a restaurant. It was a casual restaurant, nothing fancy. So, I chose to wear a black spaghetti-strapped, floral print crop top, and paired it with some black jeans, and a black cardigan. I turned to him and asked for his thoughts and he just replied with, "No comment." This response took me by surprise as he is usually a very blunt and honest person. From that comment, I had a bit of a sinking feeling, however, I didn't want to assume anything. So, I followed up and asked him to elaborate on what he meant by "no comment" again. He said, "No comment," but then said, "All I have to say is that if you look good in something, wear it. If you don't look good in something, then don't wear it. So no comment." I felt upset by that statement because I intuitionally knew what he was commenting on my weight. I am 5 feet 2 inches, 130 pounds, not obese nor overweight. But I do have a bit of a belly, and it was obviously revealing through my crop top. He has previously commented on my chubbiness and my flabby arms, and I have asked him several times in the past to not talk about my weight as it is a sensitive topic to me. He had picked up on me being upset and it eventually escalated to us getting into a fight. He then angrily says, "When was the last time that you worked out? And, you have no common sense." He then proceeds to explain to me that, people with a stomach shouldn't be wearing crop tops. The same way how people with muscular, meaty legs shouldn't be wearing skinny jeans. I just lost it and cried. I felt, and still feel, unattractive and my self-esteem just plummeted. His response to me crying was packing up his things and getting ready to leave. As he's getting ready to leave, he tells me that he didn't want to get into a fight with me, which was why he said, "No comment" in the first place, and he thinks that I was the person who started this ordeal for asking him to explain what "no comment" meant. I am not sure how things took such a turn and am not sure whether if I was really in the wrong for starting this altercation. Even though I have recently gone to the gym and have worked on my body, I can still hear his words echo in the back of my mind. I feel that my self-confidence has taken such a hit. I'm not sure what to do. I keep seeing posts like this. The boyfriend is cruel and the girl doesn't know what to do. For some reason, we as women have no idea what it's like to be treated properly by a guy. So many bad experiences, we don't even know what's normal anymore. You deserve better. The answer is, don't stay. I can't even buy a crop top or spaghetti straps because I feel uncomfortable showing my body. The fact that you have and put on those clothes means you are comfortable with your body. Do not let anyone take that from you. Wear what you feel good in. We all know when it would benefit us to hit the gym. We don't need some asshole telling us to. If you want to wear a crop top, wear it. If you want to hit the gym, do it. Do what makes you feel good. He's a dick. Can you imagine at all if a friend told you her boyfriend talked to her this way? What you would advise her to do? Surely you wouldn't tell someone you cared about, someone you thought was beautiful and valuable and worthwhile as a human being, to sit there and let her partner say cruel things to her and blame herself for it, right? You shouldn't do that either. You deserve better. I won't repeat the very good advice others have given you. But in case you have any doubts, I think his "no comment" comment was antagonistic in itself. You didn't start the ordeal by asking, he had already started. A supportive boyfriend comment would sound like this: "You always look great." Or B, "It's not my favorite, but why don't you wear that blue dress? You look fantastic in it." Your boyfriend is an asshole. You can lose roughly 200 pounds by dropping him for someone who doesn't make you cry or call you fat. He's a perfectly fit and sculpted Adonis, right? First of all, stop asking what people think of you. You won't always hear what you want. Also, he clearly needs to go. I really hope you mean your ex-boyfriend. The guy is an ass and has zero respect for you. I would seriously consider whether or not this is someone you want to continue with. He's married. About 10 years ago when I was 18, my dog had a really hot veterinarian. He was fresh out of school and stuck around the practice we go to for a few years. He got married and moved away. In March, my bestie and I decide to go on a little long weekend trip as a refresher. Of course, I bring my dog. This is a different one than my dog growing up. He ends up hurting his paw and I called around and only one clinic in the area has an opening in a couple hours from now. Thankfully, it wasn't anything super serious. He had grass seed stuck in his pad. I have to go in myself because the clinic was only allowing one person in with the pet. I notice the vet looks familiar, but think I can't know him because I'm over 300 miles from my home and I couldn't really see his face with the mask on. We end up talking and it clicks for both of us. He used to be my old dog's veterinarian. He asks how long I'm going to be around for and says we should grab drinks to catch up. I give him my number and he texted a few hours later. We go out for drinks the next night. He tells me he's divorced and has a few kids. I shared I'm in the process of a divorce. Everything is going perfect. We sleep together. I assumed I wouldn't hear from him again. He texts me the next day and we hang out again after he's done work. My friend and I are leaving the next morning so he sleeps over. We text and FaceTime a couple times a week since then. He flew out to see me in May when my divorce was finalized to celebrate for a few days. Things seem like they are going well. I plan a surprise trip to see him with a few of my friends. I call, text, and FaceTime him when I get there. He doesn't answer, which isn't normal for him. I give him a few hours then decide to go to his job and I find out he's on vacation with his wife and kids. This all happened almost a month ago. He's called me a million times since then telling me he just goes on vacation with his ex for the kids, he wants to come see me, and all this other crap. He's a liar and a vile human being. Advice? Do I tell his wife? He was too smooth for me to have been his first. If I was the dude in this predicament, I'd be 100% fine with proving the divorce. Just ask for evidence. If he's really just vacationing with the ex, he won't mind the three of you getting a drink together. Maybe suggest that and gauge his reaction. I know friends who vacation with their ex and kids. It's actually quite healthy as new partners also go. Get him to show you proof of the divorce before you go nuclear. To play devil's advocate, he could be a private person when it comes to his coworkers. They might not be aware of his divorce. He could vacation with his ex and kids for the sake of the kids. This isn't uncommon. You could also look up the divorce record in the state. Most states you can look that kind of stuff up rather easily. Are you sure he is still married? I go do things with my ex and kids. I babysat his other kids just yesterday for the day also. Ask to talk to his wife so she can verify. You can also check public records to see if divorce has been filed. And he'll probably flip out. Then you can decide about telling the wife. What if he didn't want to tell you he was going on trips with his ex-wife because he thought you would find it weird or even not believe him? Your romance seems pretty new, so maybe he didn't feel like sharing too much with you yet. Telling his wife, his boss, and everybody around him that he is a cheater, with no real proof, is not a very nice thing to do. You're just overreacting because you're hurt. Also, I wouldn't want someone pressuring me to go on a date with my ex because they're doubting me and because they want to know everything about my personal life. I know people who go on holiday with their ex so that the kids can have a family holiday together. Not my thing, but it's not unheard of. He should have told you though, and if you ask him for some proof of divorce, it might clear things up.